Evening, people. Thank you for tuning in late on your Sunday evening to hop on our live stream and watch the joy and the pain. I'm joined by, of course, a familiar co-host, Jordan. Thank you for hopping on again. Painful day for us. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I don't know why I've got nothing to smile about, man. I'm all right. Let's just say that I'm alive, innit?
Okay, cool. Well, I was gonna introduce our guest, but he is hell bent on showing me his pigeon chest that has his Arsenal crest on it as well. So yeah, Joe, CheekySport, Joe, my guy, how you doing, man?
What do you mean? How am I doing? You know how I'm doing, bro.
Honestly, you
That's
know
like
what?
me asking how you doing? You're pissed. I know you're pissed.
I am pissed, but you know what? Yeah, your antics right now are actually cheering me up because it's making me laugh. Because I feel like if you laugh as a Spurs fan, you'll cry, innit? You'll cry. But I think we're here today to talk about this fixture, man. And I must admit, I've had egg thrown all over my face today, and I feel like this is a direct consequence of when you put too much faith in an unreliable team. The amount of people that I was saying today, I said it with chest. I said we're not losing today. I said it in WhatsApp chats. I said it in live Discords. I said it everywhere. And of course, we only go and lose the game. So, yeah. Before I get into specifics as well, yeah, Joel, congratulations on the win. I want to get your thoughts on how you lot generally play before we get into the nitty gritty.
Well, the truth is, Toby, I think we played all right today. Which I'm pretty surprised in a little bit myself because I felt like with your attacking trio, I was scared. Let me not lie to you, Bell, Kane, Son, however you want to put it. I thought to myself, these boys are going to come today, and especially when they count out for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how our defense is going to be able to hack it. Do you know what I mean? With the likes of Suarez, I know that Luis can give you a killer performance in the big games here and there, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't 100% confident with the defense. But in general, I think we did well. I think Odegaard was superb today. He showed a mature performance. I think as a team, so it was a very big call to keep out Aubameyang because of lateness or whatever it was. But I admire that in managers. When you have something and you stick with it, I think that's just principles as men. I'd rather lose as a team, right? But he's kept his principles, then you win, and then all of a sudden Aubameyang can do what he wants, and he can, do you know what I mean? He can command whether he can play, whether he comes late. I don't like that disorganization anywhere, especially not at my football club. So hopefully this is a good lesson for him as well. I know this is the nitty gritty, but overall, Toby, I think we had a good performance. I was really happy. I was really happy with it, if I'm to be fair. I can't hear you, Toby,
You're on mute, bro.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Jordan. I was going to say fair enough, Joe, and the same thing to you, Jordan. I want to ask it before we get into specifics on the Spurs side. How do you think we were generally today?
Where do you start, bro? I mean, losing the game is one thing, especially derby games. You can end up losing a game like this and playing well. Do you know what I mean? You can never really forecast what a result's going to be, but what you do have to do is you have to bring the energy, the intensity, everything else that comes along with a derby game, and we just didn't bring it. That's where my disappointment comes. It's just man for man across the whole pitch, bro. Just nothing, just giving nothing, and you could see it. It's hard. Again, it's another one that's hard to analyze, but look, atrocious. Literally, one of, if not the worst performance for me this season. In a game of this magnitude, that's the thing. You can be on a poor. We were on a good run of form, innit? But I feel like even if you're on a bad run of form, this is the kind of game that all of that goes out the window, and you have to bring it. And I've not seen us play like that in a North London derby before. I mean, I can't tell you the last time we played like that in a North London derby. It was that bad. But yeah, man, lost for words. It's just kind of embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what your thoughts are, bro, but it's just, mate, Twitter was nearly deleted as soon as that final whistle went. You know what I'm saying,
bro? My mentions are on fire, man. Not just my mentions on Instagram as well. Joel made a point of tagging me in every single one of his his stories, this, that, and the other. So yeah,
it was all fun and game over, wasn't it? When you thought, when I was making jokes about you in the gym and the weights and stuff like that, it was fun 2 days ago, isn't it? But then reality came to pass, bro. Look at me, bro. I've been drunk, bro. I've been drunk off the water off my pint glass, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I get that. And honestly, Arsenal were excellent today, man. I think the only bad thing Arsenal did today was literally not score more goals. I felt defensively, midfield control, getting in behind, patterns of play. I felt Arsenal were excellent today. And I didn't really see any bad side to Arsenal up until maybe like the last 5-10 minutes, because I felt like for some reason or another, your team were trying to undo all the good work that you put into the game by like giving away cheap fouls, just inviting pressure against 10 men. Just keep the ball and keep the game ticking.
Yeah, that's the lack of experience and confidence as well, because I think they couldn't believe at the end, like, oh my God, we could be winning this. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you're right, Toby. We hit the woodwork twice in the first half. We hit crossbar, hit the post. We were looking dangerous, man. You know what I mean? I think Lacazette did a lot of work up top as well. I think sometimes we don't give him credit, which is fair play sometimes. But today, wow, talk about hard work, captaining the team. You know?
And I think before we actually get into the negatives about Spurs, I think we need to keep on the positives about Arsenal as well, because of course Aubameyang, he didn't even play. He had disciplinary issues. He didn't even touch the pitch. Bukayo Saka, your best defensive outlet this season on form, he didn't even play the full second half, and you lot were comfortably the better side. And that's an indication of how good you are. Of course, we were bad, but that's an indication of how good you are, and that's how you should play in the final. And for someone who I give a lot of criticism, we were literally on a preview the other day. Arteta, he got it absolutely spot on today with his lineup, with his approach, with his management of the game. He was excellent today, and for the first time in 3 attempts, or is it 3 attempts? Yeah. So yeah, for the first time in 3 attempts now, he's finally got the edge over Jose Mourinho, and that's yet another rookie manager that's got the edge over our manager, our elite, illustrious, world-class manager. So yeah, Jordan, I want to come to you on this as well. Our starting lineup today, when you saw it, what were your initial thoughts?
I think it was pretty unanimous, wasn't it? I mean, I think everyone's reaction was basically pretty much the strongest starting 11 we could go with, bar the right back. Pretty much that, you know, everything I saw, my initial thoughts, that was the case. But I still thought there wasn't like a turnaround in Doherty's form by any stretch of the imagination recently, but he had put in 60 minutes here, a game here and there, which was definitely better than what he had shown for the whole season. So you kind of was like, okay, he's in, as long as he doesn't, you know, show us an error that leads to a goal, then it's not the worst position to have someone that you're carrying in the side, if you know what I mean. So I was happy with it, bro. But listen, I'm still speechless. When you look at the 11 that we had, I just don't understand, man for man, every player across the pitch being that poor. But yeah, lineup wise, when I first saw it, positive. I was happy with it. I thought we had more than enough, especially when I look at, you know, Cedric in their back four. Like you say, Noah Aubameyang, Luiz as well. You know that he loves an error in these games.
Loves a mad one.
Yeah, loves a cheeky one. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was positive with it. I thought, you know, like you said, Toby, I was confident before the game as well. I was giving it to all my pals. Like you said, thought we're definitely not losing this game. So I was happy with it. But yeah, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was happy with every part of that team. I even tweeted it. I said, for the first time in a long time, I'm 85% happy with this team. Guess what the 15% was?
Doherty.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said it as well. I said,
this man's not a footballer.
That's the 15%. I said, I don't want this guy playing. I worry about this guy when he plays because he's a liability. There's no way. I honestly, I low key maybe rate Jose Mourinho for trying to get some continuity into this side, but a game like this, you can't be messing about. This isn't the game for experimenting. This isn't the game where you're like, okay, come on, mate. Let's build up your confidence here. This is a game where you go your tried and trusted formula, bro. And Aurier, for me, he had to start today. And if Aurier wasn't playing today, then play Japhet Tanganga.
100%.
I'm pretty sure I said that on one of the previews that I did before this game. Aurier or Tanganga had to play today. There was no way on earth Matt Doherty should have been starting against Kieran Tierney. But fair enough, Jose Mourinho, I think it's one issue to play him and it's backfired. Cool. But it's a bigger issue in itself for me when you're seeing him clearly struggling on this pitch, absolutely getting ran ragged, rinsed. Emil Smith-Rowe was taking the piss out of him. He made Emil Smith-Rowe look like Iniesta. He made Kieran Tierney look like...
he's good, though. I'm not saying... He's a good player, man.
Yeah, go on.
No, I think he's a very good player. And I think, you see with him and Saka, and I'll be honest, even as an Arsenal fan, yeah, they've surprised me this season. Because we know that our players have got talent. Toby, you're a realist when you want to be in it. And a lot of players from that academy can play football. You know, the question is always, do you have it to mix with the big boys? But in regards to footballing ability, you know, when they come out of that academy, it's always going to be decent, good technique. Do you know where I'm coming from? But the way those kids, I repeat, those kids have been able to mix it in with the big boys and become key players in these games, I will be lying if I say that I saw that coming. I will be lying. Do you know what I mean? And I have a lot of respect for them. Because even Odegaard, if you look at him, when he first came, first couple of games, I could see the players didn't trust him. I could see he was a little bit off the boil. I could see the players didn't trust him. The game was moving a little bit too quick for him. You can tell, Prem, whoa, what's going on here? Big expectations. You've only got a half a year. You could see it. But now it looks like he's controlling the game and the game isn't controlling him. You know, and the same with ESR. Bro, skipping past players. Sometimes I look, I go, is he fast? Is he not fast? He's got
like a little burst. He's definitely got like a little burst.
But, you know what I mean? But it's like, is it the Zidane? You know, like I'm not saying he's Zidane, but you know when Zidane moves past players, but
stop it, Joe. Stop it.
No, bro. You see, bro, he was moving past that Doherty, yeah. You lot thought Doherty was a flipping bargain, bro. Don't get me started on that guy.
Yeah, we did. And he's been a nightmare, Joe.
Yeah, I know he's been a nightmare.
I spoke to you. Yeah, I spoke to you about him, and I said that this guy's been he's been an absolute nightmare. And this is what we're saying. Like, I get your point. All of these players played well. I think Emil Smith-Rowe played well. I think he was unlucky not to get an assist. Lacazette should have tucked away that chance. I think Odegaard played well today as well. But the problem is, it doesn't matter who this guy's up against. He's going to get roasted. Kieran Tierney must have seen him and said, "This is light work for me." And Kieran Tierney absolutely ran him ragged, destroyed him for that first goal, took the piss out of him. And as Spurs fans, we've seen that all too often. It doesn't take much to get past this guy, and that's the issue. He doesn't offer us anything defensively, and he doesn't offer us anything going forward. He just does not offer us anything, period. He doesn't offer us anything, period. But it's not all about Matt Doherty today. He's an issue. He was the worst player on the pitch for us. He's an issue. But as an Arsenal fan, I want to hear your thoughts. Like, before I go back to Jordan, do you put this loss down to Jose Mourinho, or do you put it down to the players, or do you put it down to both? Because we have some conflicting views in our fan base at the moment.
You know what? Yeah. This one, look, let me break it down. Me and Toby, we talk almost every day. And one of the biggest things that me and Toby have been going back and forth on is that, as weird as it might sound to you guys, I'm a big Jose Mourinho fan. Like, old school Jose, let me not even lie. Like, I sometimes argue on Jose's behalf over Toby, even though he was at, when he arrived and stuff like that. And my only issue with Jose is that when it goes wrong, he doesn't take the blame himself. It's always about someone else and these players and that and blah, 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 blah. And I have to be honest with you. You're right there, Toby, when you say that kind of stuff. I hate it. That crap, I hate it. However, when you cross that white line, yeah, and it's just you on that pitch, I have to be honest with you. Some of the hunger or lack of hunger, shall I say, yeah. I don't know what more you want. Should the coach tell you that you need to be moving quicker, that you need to be closing players down quicker? Should he be telling you that you need to have more bite for a North London derby? Like, should he? You know, like I don't think he should. I think players should look at that, and Arsenal are going to move the ball quickly when they're having a good day on song. That's the Arsenal way, right? We move the ball. You got to be ready for that, bro. And I don't think your players were really just on point. I look at Son and I think he's very unlucky. Obviously, before he actually got injured, it was probably the first time that I'd seen Son run for the ball in hour half. But quiet again until Harry Kane started doing bits at the end. I felt he was quiet. I didn't see the bites that I've seen from Spurs, is what I'm saying, and I blame the players.
Yep, and listen, I totally understand that, Jordan. I'm going to pose the same question to you because for me, it's a bit of both. You cannot excuse the fact that we've only had one shot up until like the 60th minute. Crazy, you cannot excuse the fact that our manager did almost everything possible to overcompensate for a shocking right back today. Yeah, you can't overlook those things. You can't overlook the fact that our manager didn't make the obvious substitution in the first half, which was get rid of Serge Aurier. So Jose Mourinho has to take a big fat L for that. But I'm with Joe as well with some of these players. I feel like for me, putting it all on Jose Mourinho, you're letting some of these players off too easily. Yeah. And it's the same way, putting it all on the players, you're letting off the manager too easily. Both have to be called into question. Because today, we saw some of our more reliable players put in shocking performances. Gareth Bale, we've been singing these praises. We've been saying Bale's back, Bale's this, Bale's that. He was awful today. One good switch of play that led to the goal aside, he was awful today. He didn't offer us anything in possession, and he damn sure didn't offer us anything out of possession, which left Matt Doherty 2v1 most times. Or even, it doesn't even matter. 1v1, he's crap anyway. But Reguilon, I felt he was poor today. This is a player I rate highly. It's rare that I say this. Ndombele, shocking performance. Absolutely terrible performance. I think that's the worst I've seen him play this season. And it's scary to say that. This is a play. Joe and Jordan, this is a player I love.
I love it.
Yeah. Højbjerg today. Mr. Reliable, he was terrible today. Harry Kane, subdued, yes. I don't think he had much of the ball, but he was poor. And even Lamela scores that great goal, but he did nothing else. Just running around fouling people. Sorry, go on, Jordan. I don't know. I just had to give my
opinion. Get out of your chest, bro. No, look, I echo what you and Joel both said. And I think, I've historically been more of a fan or more of a backer than Jose, for example, than potentially you have. I like to. I always say that. Look,
everyone has.
Yeah. But I always say, look, that obviously the manager has to have a big impact on the squad and how they play and how they set up and how they progress forward. But you've got to look at it and go, there are 11 players on the pitch. They have to take the bulk of the responsibility when they're playing a football match. They're the ones carrying out the actions. They're the ones carrying out the play from minute 1 down to minute 90. So ultimately, if there's a bad performance, yes, you can look at setup, the personnel, blah, 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 blah. But aside from that, the players have to bring the energy, the intensity, and try and execute that plan as best as they can. Today, I think that 90 minutes, we've spoken about it many times, Tobs, I think that encapsulates perfectly what we've said over and over again, which is players will give you something. You think that they're then stabilized, they're in a bit of form, and then they let you down. Today was that. It encapsulated 90 minutes for me. You look at Lamela's goal, brilliant. First Premier League goal, I believe, since 2019, by the way. But then he goes and gives the ball away about 5 or 6 times, picks up 2 yellow cards and gets sent off. Davinson Sanchez is another one. Did exactly the same thing I said to you in the last game. He had about 45 to 60 minutes where I thought, again, he actually looks decent.
Exactly.
Then goes and gives away a pen. And it was that all over the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, as a manager, there's only so much you can do when you've got a squad that has that kind of mentality. and can't get themselves up for a game of this magnitude. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're sitting there and going, okay, the setup was wrong, or Jose has come out and said, look, we're going to play counter-attacking football. You soak up the pressure and try and spring on the break that way. And that's not something that they particularly want to do. You still got to come out in a game like this and try and execute that plan to the best of your ability, but bring that intensity, bring that drive, bring that hunger. And then if you lose the game 2-1, us as fans will sit there and go, look, shit result, not happy with it. But you can see what they were trying to do, and you can see that they brought everything alongside that to try and win the game. But this was just what we've seen all season. We put 4 or 5 games together where we go, we're back. Do you know what I mean? This is it. We're going to go make a real push for the top 4. And this was reminiscent of even last season. This is what worries me about progression and personnel and the kind of players we've got in the squad, is we did this last season where we would come close to catching Chelsea in 4th every single time. We'd be a win away, or we'd have a game in hand, and we lose that game every single time. Every single time.
Exactly.
And it's just history repeating itself. So I don't know, as a man, like any manager, I feel like you put in with these players, you know, I feel like you put Pep as our manager with the squad that we've got. I don't think he does much better, bro. If I'm completely transparent with you, he may do a bit better, but I don't think you get. I think the squad is at capacity. I think you're getting the best out of the squad that we've got almost, or close to. So I don't know what the answer is. There is blame on both sides, but it's just, the squad isn't good enough, bro. And that's not necessarily just down to like technical ability and things like that. A lot of it is down to mentality and being able to actually, you know, stand up in the big occasions. It's just not good enough.
I get that, but I do. Sorry, Joel. I do think that a better manager will be doing more with his team. I honestly believe that, and it's why I've been banging the drum about get rid of this guy, get rid of him. I've just explained why it's not all his fault today. It's not all of his fault, but I feel like at this point it might potentially be dangerous for us to keep expecting that this guy is going to do something that we're not seeing. Oh, give him another transfer window with new centre backs. Do this, do that. He's not it,
bro. But can I? Yeah, but bro, you can then reflect that straight on the players, because no. But let me finish my point. It's like I like that ruthlessness. Say with a manager, where you're like, okay, it's not working, get rid. But you don't have that. Not you personally, but the fan base don't have that energy with the players. They'll go, Lamela's had a good 3 games. He's like a new signing. Lucas Moura, let's have Steven Bergwijn, let's give him another season. Matt Doherty, let's see if he comes good. Well, no, if you're going to be that ruthless about the manager, then be that ruthless about the players that haven't performed for season in, season out. Do you know what I mean? So that's where my issue comes with it. It's like, okay, if the manager's not working, then yeah, be that cutthroat, make a change. But we've had players like Lamela at the club for 8 years. Delivered nothing. Do you know what I mean? You see players like Doherty and Bergwijn that have come in, and you'll see players go, oh, but look, they need to adjust. Doherty's playing a different position. Steven Bergwijn's come from another season. Do I care? You just spent £30 million on Steven Bergwijn, and he's got 0 goals and 0 assists. Get him out. Ship him. Look at Man City. Look at all these other clubs. When a player doesn't work, they don't hold on to him. They don't go, okay, let's just see if he comes good. They go, no, out the door, we get someone else in.
You're right. We need to be ruthless. And I think I'm slowly coming on. I know you didn't play well today, but I'm slowly coming onto your side with that Bergwijn opinion, simply because I just can't be asked to wait on more players as if they're this project. I'm tired. We've been doing it year in, year out. I'm tired. I just want a player who's reliable. I'm sick and tired of the caveats. I'm really sick to death of the caveats. But Joe, I see you smirking over there. I wanted to get your.
You know what? Yeah, don't get me wrong, Jordan. I find it hilarious. Everything you're saying, I love it. It's making me laugh because it's Spurs and it's Derby Day and all that jazz. But if I'm being really honest, I've been saying this about us for the last, or in 2021, probably the last 13 years, right? Now, the danger is when you're not as ruthless as old school Man United, their man got rid of Varane quick. You know what I mean? It didn't work. You had to go. Yeah. Even these guys, Jemba, Orbiton, these guys didn't last at that club for long. If you look at Jose in his first stint for Chelsea, I'm talking about the really successful teams. If you ain't it, bruv, you're gone. You're out. You're gone. And I think if you look at City, like what you just said, Jordan, there's a mad ruthlessness. And that, though, when you're talking about that, that's not down to the managers. Mm-hmm. That's then down to the board. Mm-hmm. Which you're coming from. and Levy basically. And so when I look at that, I just think it, and I'm sure that contracts are more complicated than me and Toby, but you need to develop an infrastructure where it's that ruthless, bruv. Because if it's not, you start to have what you call hanger-oners. I don't see hanger-oners at Man City. No. I know they've got the shake and whatever, but I look at players and I think you're not going to be there for a long time, but I know they're going to be gone soon. I know Mendy's going to be gone soon. I know it. I know he's going to be gone soon. I know that Zinchenko, he's going to be gone soon. If he doesn't fix it, he's going to be gone. If the goalkeeper ain't on, he's going to get someone else. Yeah. And that's the issue. That is why we haven't won the Champions League. That's why, okay, someone will go, oh yeah, but City, they haven't won it. But they're getting closer. Yeah. They're getting closer. And just because it seems distant, you mark my words, if they carry on with what they're like, they're going to win it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we're not ruthless enough. None of us are ruthless. We're out here dropping out managers and then bringing other people in because they're like a project and we can silence them. And do you know what I mean? It's all over the place. I thought the Jose Mourinho bring-in, I thought, wow, this is Spurs. This is an intention. This is a statement from Spurs. That's what I thought. As the months have gone, I still feel like Levy wanted to bring in. I think he did really well. Like, you found players that you thought could work, could not work, could work, could not work. But it just hasn't quite clicked, bro. And is that all down to the manager? No, because Jose Mourinho doesn't come and expect less from players. He expects a certain quality. Yeah. But if the players themselves are not good enough or they don't have the desire, then what do you want them to do?
I'm seeing some comments about, so shout out Shay, Tobs, do you rate Emil Smith Rowe? I do. I think he's a very good prospect. I'm just reading some other comments. Sustainable shooter. Sanchez is so rash. Always has a mistake in him, which is why we must replace in the summer. We just need to be ruthless in the summer, not just with Sanchez, but with Dyer, Doherty, etc., etc. And that's pretty much along the lines of what you were mentioning earlier on, Jordan. On Davinson Sanchez as well, you hit the nail on the head. For 50, 60 minutes, he was one of the best. Him and Mora are probably the best of a bad bunch. Like, they were playing well. I remember one interception where he was up 1v1 against Emil Smith Rowe. He made a really good interception, won the ball. But that penalty, let's discuss that penalty, lads. Are we all in unanimous agreement that it was a penalty?
Of course it was.
Yeah.
And that's not my arse on the head. I didn't even need to look. Sometimes you got to look at things 5-10 times these days. Oh, from this angle, slow-mo, normal speed, fast. Like, I didn't need to do that. You saw it and you went, you know what? Even though he got his shit, he did. But let's be real. It was a bad tackle. Like, it was rash in the penalty spot. Even Jose himself said, yeah, I didn't argue. He wasn't trying to be clever. It was just obvious, innit? Like, that's a pen.
I think it was stupid. Because I'm looking at this now. Initially, I was thinking, is it a penalty? Because obviously, Lacazette has in real time, I said it was a penalty, and then I was watching it and I was like, is this a penalty? Because Lacazette has obviously completely miskicked the ball. But for me, whilst I think it was a bit of a coming together in a sense that Lacazette has miskicked the ball, and obviously he's then like, I don't know, kick Sanchez, or Sanchez is coming through. The fact that Davinson Sanchez has gone in as crazy as he did, his legs so high, the fact that he's even gone in for that the way he did, he didn't need to do that. And I think this is the problem with Sanchez. He doesn't use his brain. And he's gone into that thinking the only way he can block Lacazette is raising his leg high. And for me, once you've raised your leg high, you have to make contact with the ball. And when you watch the replay, he is nowhere near the ball. Lacazette is here. He's miskicked the ball. The ball is there. So you raising your leg, you're not going to make contact with the ball. So the minute you raise your leg, you put yourself in serious danger of giving away a foul. And I have no sympathy for Sanchez whatsoever. you can look at it and maybe say, oh yeah, he's not meant to foul Lacazette. But the fact that he's raised his leg so high and it's impeded Lacazette, the referee had no choice but to give it a penalty. I literally watched it probably 5 or 6 times now in the last maybe 30, 40 minutes. And then I was thinking, maybe it's not a penalty. Maybe it is, but it's a penalty.
It's a penalty.
It's a stone wall penalty. Yeah. And I feel like with Jordan, you said it as well. With Davinson Sanchez, he embodies that type of player that we're talking about. Play well for a couple games, play well in the game, back to square one.
Back to square one. Do you know what he's got as well? I mean, I know you said in real time you thought it was a pen. Bro, I thought he'd done a Ledley King versus Chelsea. I thought he'd got there, to be fair. But what Sanchez does, and this is why I feel like you'll never get anything worthwhile long-term out of him, is because if he's playing badly, his confidence drops, which makes him even worse. But then if he actually plays well, he's almost, again, a bit like that Lamela character. Like, he gets overexcited. Like, he'll start a game well, and then all of a sudden you'll see him starting to try, like, he'll run out and try and nick the ball before it gets to a forward instead of just closing him down, and he'll miss it. And then he'll try and play like a stupid pass and he'll miss it. Or he'll just fly into a challenge, like you say, for no reason. So I don't think there's like any balance with Sanchez. It doesn't matter whether he's playing well for a bit because he loses his head. And then if he's playing poorly, he also loses his head. So it's like you can't win with him. The best you can hope for is about half an hour's worth of a good spell. And then you're going to have to ship him, take him off. But madness, bro. Because it will just never change. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, what did we pay for him? 40, 42, something like that? 42 mil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who are you going to offload him to? This is our other issue. It's like, you can't tell me we haven't tried to sell him.
Who did you pay 42 million for?
Sanchez, bro. Sanchez. Before Ndombele, he was a record signing.
42 million.
It was good, to be fair, when he first came in.
He looked excellent. He looked excellent when he first came in. But he's one of the issues. He's one of the issues. But I actually want to focus on the better players, man. Like your Bales, and I'm not trying to scapegoat one player because it was a lot of them. How can they play like that in a North London derby? How can they play like that in any game? It's just not on.
Do you think that in the defense, again, I'm not saying this is the case, but in the defense of a Bell or one of those players, if those other players behind them are not feeding, what are they going to be able to do? Do you know what I mean? But if you've got, at one point I saw Thomas Partey taking excellent touches from, and I'm not saying he was excellent, but I'm talking about excellent touches where he's just skipping past your midfield. Bro, what do we expect Kane, Bell, what do we expect them to do? Because in my opinion, Lucas Moura, he was your best player today. You know what I mean? And I think Lamela, till before he started doing rash stuff, he was also one of your better players today. And I want us to be fair and go back to his goal as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about his goals because we'll talk about his goals. But in fact, let's talk about his goal now because I feel like, I don't know about you lot, but that goal came largely against the run of play. Like Arsenal you lot were all over us, over us today. And I felt like, I know you didn't have a shot on target, and I was goading my friend for the fact that you didn't have a shot on target yet, but it was clear to see that a goal was coming for Arsenal, and Lamela pulls off that brilliant piece of magic. And I think you have to give him credit for that goal. That's one of the best goals I've seen in a North London derby in a long time.
It would if the game was a draw, if the game was a draw or the performance wasn't so bad, I mean, you're still going to see the highlights, but it would have been spoken about even more, which is the only sad thing. Because that, through Partey's legs, I was watching that in replay. You know when you're seeing the replay happen so quickly, like, oh, they see it cut, I see it cut. And it just looked worse and worse for Partey every time I watched it. I thought, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, I know what Toby's like. Toby is strict. So he's thinking, if you didn't win the game, I don't care about your goal, mate. Do you know where I'm coming from? And you got sent off on top of that. And Toby clearly thinks he didn't have a good performance. Yeah, I didn't.
He was wasteful in possession. But he scored a great goal. Listen, from a Spurs point of view, we got 3 out of 6 points in the league this season, and we've seen 2 exceptional goals in North London derbies, one from Son and one from Lamela. But Jordan, I actually want to talk to you about our inability to deal with Arsenal, because I look at the game today on the left-hand side. Reguilon was struggling against Sakarin and Cedric. On the right-hand side, Doherty was struggling with Tierney and Emil Smith-Rowe. In the middle, Ndombele and Højbjerg just could not get to grips with the midfield. Højbjerg kept getting dragged out to try and help Doherty. It left Ndombele isolated. And more importantly as well, when both were in possession, when they were able to get the ball, they were not passing forward. They were fluffing basic passes, not getting in the ball to the likes of Kane, not getting the ball to the likes of Moura, not getting the ball to the likes of Bale. Talk to me about that general performance today, because I felt like as bad as we were, I think Arsenal were really, really good today.
Yeah, and that was my issue with it. I mean, like I say, you never quite know how a North London derby is going to go, what the momentum shift is going to be like. Is it going to be all one way? Do you know what I mean? You can never quite tell. It doesn't matter who the personnel is and who's actually playing and sort of previous form. But for me, Arsenal did turn up today. You could see from the start their passing was crisp. They were playing well. They were moving the ball well. Their off-the-ball movement was good. So this is where I say, and I know it sounds cliche, I know it sounds boring, and there's obviously more to the game than this. But I think if that is the case, and you're struggling to regain possession and keep hold of the ball. For me, it's about energy. It's about that high press. What then? Do you know what I mean? It's about trying to disrupt Arsenal's rhythm and their momentum. But we were quite comfortable. And I saw, Son, who's usually a great presser, Kane that does the same. And I mean, Bale recently has been better at it. But I'm watching as, Leno or one of the centre halves for Arsenal's got the ball. And I'm looking at Son and everyone drop off. Start jogging backwards, and then only once they get into the final third do we start trying to engage. But then you've lost 70 yards of the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And that was my point. And I feel like I don't believe Jose's gone out there and gone, let them have the ball all the way up to the final third. So I agree. This was my main issue with it, because there can be all sorts of tactics and setups, and do you know what I mean, that can come alongside it. But I'm not a coach like Jose Mourinho or Mikel Arteta, and I can't analyse it to the depth that I'm sure they do. So my point being is, you have to bring, if Arsenal have got the ball, and I think, first 15 minutes, they had 75% of the ball or something ridiculous like that, then you have to do all you can to disrupt that momentum. And we just didn't look interested in doing that today. And I don't know what that's down to. I'm sure people will try and blame fatigue and all this kind of stuff. But, Arsenal were in Athens a few days ago, travelling around. We were in North London, picked up a tidy win, had a day off, all that kind of stuff. So it was just an appalling performance from start to finish. And like I say, you can analyse set up, formations, all that kind of stuff as much as you want. But for me, the energy just wasn't there, and I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. In these games, you just got to be up for it. You've got to be pressing from the front, that hunger and that desire. It just wasn't there. And we've seen it so many times this year. Do you know what I mean? Which is the frustrating thing. And I don't understand the swings. 4 or 5 weeks in a row, all of a sudden you see us pressing from the front. We're playing slightly more expansive, and you're scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, and then all of a sudden we just revert back to this. And I go, that can't be a coaching message. That can't be a background staff message. That's got to just come from the players. And I don't understand it, bro. Honestly, it's just frustrating, especially in a game like this. Do you know what I mean? If we've seen us do it against the Fulhams and the Palaces and blah blah blah, which is annoying in itself. But this game, it's inexcusable to turn up to this game, and I'm seeing people jogging about. Do you know what I mean? Bale coming back and not back. If you're watching Matt Doherty, one, you're going to be pissed if you're playing with him, but two, you got to get men around him. If people are, because it was clear Arsenal were targeting that side, like you say, Tierney and that, which is taking the piss. So you've got to get men around him and try and support him, but you're seeing no one basically. People just leaving him isolated on his own, and I go, what? Do you know what I mean? It's just it blows my mind, bro. It makes no sense, but. Yeah, I could go on all night. Do you know what I mean? Talking about that, just getting myself wound up. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly right to get it off your chest, man. And I actually do agree. I don't think Jose Mourinho set out to sit back that game. I don't, because when I looked at that game, it was a mismatch of setups. I see us not playing. I don't think we sat back per se. I just felt like we sat off Arsenal when they were in possession, because our players were taking up positions high up the pitch. Like Harry Kane was there just outside the box. Lucas Moura was there. It seemed as if they were prepared to press, but yet they didn't press.
Yeah.
Mora was the only one that was chasing. And then defensively as well, we played a bit of a high line, but the resulting factor of playing the high line is so that your midfield and your attack can squeeze the opposition. And I saw no squeezing whatsoever today. And I honestly don't want to take anything away from your boys' performance today, Joel, because as I've said a million times, Arsenal were excellent. But I have to analyze how bad we were today, because we were bad.
But Toby, this is you though, man. You have a great expectation for Spurs. I think your overall expectation for your club isn't bad. It's not, because it's what you should be going for. If the board had your ambition, you would have won trophies by now. Like, no joke, you would have. But sometimes I look and I also think you should look at where you are. And yes, you're right, today wasn't great. But when you're looking at the league and you're looking at all the managers, all the teams, if you start at the start of the season, even with these phenomenal Kane and Son and Bell, are you even a top 4 team?
No, we're not.
You know what I mean? Like,
we're not. Not on paper.
No.
Yeah.
But we're not a top 4 team, but we can get top 4. Like Leicester.
You can.
Yeah. But I agree, man for man, we're not. And
you've got City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester are an outlier. Don't care what anyone says. I'm not saying they ain't got a good team, but if the start of the season was to just be there and I had to pick,
no one's picking Leicester.
I'll pick Spurs' team. Do you know what I mean? Like, with all your players, I would. But yeah, so you look at Chelsea, you look at, do you know what I mean? And I would say and Everton, I say you're 5th, 6th, you know what I mean? Which is where you'll probably finish, 5th, 6th. It's just hurtful on your side. I can imagine that the performances, I remember the Liverpool game. Wow. First time in my life that I looked at and I thought, this negative football, I'm starting to hear what Toby's saying, you know. Do you know where I'm coming from? Like,
yeah.
But remember where you are. And I say that in regards to myself as well. I'm so caught up with old school Arsenal that I forget I need to look at my team, and remember and look to see who are we really. We need to do that.
I get that, and I think me and Jordan, we've spoken about it a million times. Like, I think we get it now. I've come to that painful realization that this team is not as good as it is, and I don't think. But the team that we saw today, it should have been able to play better than it did. It should have been able to give you lot a better game today. Yeah, it should have been able to test you more than it did today, and that's down to the manager, and that's down to the players. And as I said, I don't actually think I don't think he's set up to sit back. I really don't, because there's no way you're playing Lucas Moura if your plan is to sit back.
Yeah,
you're already.
Why did the players sit back the way they did, though?
What's that?
Why did the players then sit back the way they did? Because I was surprised.
But Joe, I don't. When you look at the positions that we were taking up, I don't think everyone was sat back. Like, it's not like you saw 9 men behind the ball. You saw what you saw was a team that were lacking organization, lacking any capacity to play to their normal level. And what I also think you saw was a distinct lack of plan in possession. And the last point boils down to the manager. The first 2 points, you can blame the players. The last point boils down to the manager. Which is that fundamentally, when we're up against some of the better sides, we don't have a clue in possession. We don't know how to break teams down. We have players who are capable of doing it, but we don't do it consistently. And this is why I'm saying the manager has to go. But irrespective of the manager, some of those players have to take stock and realize that this was a shocking performance as far as their minimum level is concerned. It was a shocking performance.
I agree.
Like, I've already named them, like Højbjerg, like Ndombele. They were terrible today. I'm not expecting to see that in any game, let alone a derby. I'm not expecting to see them play so bad. Ndombele was awful today.
Horrific,
absolutely awful. Lamela, I've already mentioned him. Gareth Bale was pants today. Matt Doherty, the worst player on the pitch, but we already knew he was bad. That's on the manager for playing him and not trying to rectify the issue by taking him off at half time.
Let me play devil's advocate here. Sounds a bit like I'm backing you. Yeah, backing Spurs. I'm not, but you see the whole Doherty thing, yeah? I see it a little bit like the Lacazette incident. Sometimes, bro, yeah? Sometimes it's about you need to take that chance for the good of the team. And like you said, low-key, you rate him because he tried to have some sort of continuity there. So he tried. What I see, from that is that he's not stupid. He knows the limitations of Doherty. You know what I mean? But he tried to be real to himself and to what he stands for. And if it's going well, if he thinks this guy's been doing it, he plays him, right? Not saying that's wrong, not saying that's right, but I get it, what he's tried to do there. It's like Arteta. He's played Aubameyang. I mean, he's not played Aubameyang. We all know what he's trying to do. But if we hadn't won and it was a reverse, Toby, everyone would have been cussing Arteta as well. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's because it's worked for us that we can say that. So this is where I feel like we do need to back our managers. Are we going to stand for the principles, Toby? Or are we going to just I don't care how it feels, best players are playing all the time? Because if that's the case, then Aubameyang would have played. All these other jokers would have been playing. Ozil, who was washed, he would have been, you know what I mean, still around. Do you get where I'm coming from? What do we want from our managers is the question.
What we want, and maybe Jordan, you can interject here. What we want from our manager, Joe, at the bare minimum, is that you acknowledge when things aren't working and you make a change.
Yeah.
And I felt like the changes he made today were almost to compensate the mistake he made in the first place.
Yeah.
Instead of eradicating the mistake you've made changes to sort of work around the base issue. And what I mean by that is at halftime, even though Sissoko was a good substitution, we said it. Because I remember I listed, I said the subs I would make, the first sub I would make is Aurier, the next sub I would make is Sissoko. Aurier was obvious, but Sissoko to come into the midfield to give us more legs and to help us put more pressure on Arsenal when they're on the ball, because the Sissoko does the dirty work well. But I saw a manager today who has made a mistake with Matt Doherty in the sake of continuity and has not sought to rectify that mistake. At halftime, you have to be taking him off.
Yeah, 100%.
We saw this guy take off Eric Dyer when he was terrible against Olympiacos within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We saw this guy take off Serge Aurier at halftime against Leicester when Serge Aurier gave away a penalty. This guy he's meant to be ruthless. He's meant to be a manager who recognizes mistakes and makes changes. Why have you not made that obvious substitution, which is to get this guy off the field because he's a liability? Why have you not done that? You know what he did? He obviously Lamela on for Son. At halftime, he said, you know what? Gareth Bale is not helping Matt Doherty on the right-hand side, or Doherty, however you want to pronounce it. So he switched Lamela on the right-hand side because Lamela does the dog work better, and he put Gareth Bale in 10. But when we have Gareth Bale in 10, we lose that impetus to drive with the ball that Lucas gives us and that impetus to press. So we now have an issue in number 10. We now have a right winger who can't create from right wing, who isn't as magical as Gareth Bale when he's on the ball. And then he brings on Sissoko in the second half for Gareth Bale. And now we have Sissoko and what's his name? And Højbjerg in midfield, Lucas Moura back in 10, but we still have the problematic right back on the field. So all of these issues you've made, it's still not circumvented the same issue, which is why I have to question this manager again. And I can't stress this enough. I've been in this situation a million times. This since his tenure, where I am struggling to understand his decisions. And I mean his in-game decisions. I've said it. When you can't make sense of your manager's decisions during games, that's when you have to call it quits. That is when you have to call it quits. And you know me, I've not sat here and said it's all down to Jose Mourinho, but that was a mistake he made, and he's not rectified it. Who does that? Honestly, who does that? And I'm going to come to you, Jordan. Here, am I waffling here, or am I making sense?
There's not a lot I can add to that, and the bulk of that I very much agree with. I mean, like you say, it comes back to that ruthlessness, and you've seen Jose do it with so many players. You know, you see it with Delhi, Tanguy last year, but then there seems to be acceptance to that rule. You know, Dyer for a bit, and Doherty is obviously the biggest one for me. I look at it, and every game he's played, he's been as bad as the last game. Do you know what I mean? There's rarely been any improvement, and he always seems to finish the game and play 90 minutes. And this goes back to what Joel was saying about, you know, trying to stick to them principles and things like that. And I go, well, no, not in this game. Have that ruthless edge again. Do you know what I mean? If Serge Aurier is better than him, he's been performing better than him. He probably trains better than him, and so does Jaffet. Then I don't care if you're trying to resolve an issue or trying to turn a player's season around. You don't do it in this game. You don't put him in this game.
So Jordan, with your theory, you think Arteta was wrong for dropping Aubameyang, basically?
That's not my point. That's not my point, because that's a clear, like you said, it's a disciplinary issue. So if you're sticking to those principles, I'm talking about performance. Okay, Serge Aurier, or if you want to go down that route, Jaffet Tanganga.
Wouldn't you tie that together, Toby? You didn't need to drop the guy. I know we're talking about Spurs here, but I'm trying to line up your stuff, Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. It's a discipline. It's still a big game to make a call, you know, like that straight away. Pre-match, bro. Is it the game, or should you not just give a slap at the wrist and then keep it moving?
You say slap in the wrist, but then if you give him a slap in the wrist, then that basically means, from Arteta's point of view, that a player can do, if a player is of X importance, they can do whatever they want, basically. And from what I'm hearing, it wasn't even just a case of him being 1 or 2 minutes late. It was him being like aggressively late to the point where it's taking the piss. And he's meant to be the club captain. Yeah. You have to set that example as the captain. If you're doing that and Arteta lets him off, what happens with Emil Smith-Rowe or Balogun or whoever? They're watching that. They're thinking, you know what? The captain can do this. Why can't I do it?
Yeah.
So for me, the situation is completely different. I feel like, yes, Arteta does pick, and I think a problem with Arteta is he picks and chooses when he wants to be Mr. Hard Guy, because there are certain players in that team that he lets them get off way too easily. But in terms of dropping Aubameyang, I can't really fault him for dropping that if there were disciplinary issues. It's completely different to a manager putting faith in a guy, it's not worked, and you not doing anything to rectify it. Against Liverpool as well, he did the same thing. The obvious sub was to take Matt Doherty off because he was struggling against Liverpool at home, and he kept him on for 90 minutes. So again, I hate to go back to Jose Mourinho, because I'm not just blaming Jose Mourinho for this match. I've already said that players need to take stock of that embarrassing performance, but I need to highlight how much of a problem this manager is for our club. I have to, because if I don't keep doing it, people are going to keep telling me, oh yeah, give him a summer, let him get the centre back. He's going to be X, Y, and Z. He's a problem. We need to get rid of some of these players, and we need to get rid of this manager. We need to be clinical at both ends. I don't know, man. I can't say any more. I can't say any more about that, man. I can't. Matt Doherty as well. He has to go this summer as well. Jordan, you were talking about players that need to be off. He needs to go.
Yeah,
he's got to go. But another player I wanted to mention, Joe, as well, Pepe. I thought he did really well when he came on. Lee Gunner was waxing lyrical about him yesterday. I was sort of low-key shitting on him as well. I felt he did well when he came on. What's your take on Pepe in general? Like, what do you see?
I think he's had his ups and downs. If you look at the Burnley game, I think he made an impact. He came on and he had an impact. You know, I think sometimes he dilly-dallies on the ball too long. But at the same time, he's able to come on and make things happen. When we were crying about the penalty that we didn't get against Burnley last week, it was him. When you look at the shot that he hit Peters' shoulder last week, it was him. When you look at, you know, a lot of the creative direct play, it came from him, you know. So I think he has times where he can come on, and unfortunately, it's almost like he's becoming an impact player for real, you know, to come on and he can really cause trouble when he comes in. I've also seen him do it from start, you know. I've seen him have games where he's, you know, from the get-go. I don't know about you guys when you look at him, but I don't know if it's a look that he has in regards to attitude. I'm not saying he's got an actual problem, but sometimes I feel like, I don't know if he looks hungry enough. I don't know how you could look more hungry, but I don't know if he looks hungry. I don't know. I don't know if there's any more he can do in training. I have no idea. Is it because he holds onto the ball too long sometimes? I don't know. But overall, Toby and Jordan, he makes good impact. And I'm seeing him play smarter when he plays in the Premier League. That's my take on him.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair play.
What do you think?
I don't really rate him at the moment, but I do think that in recent weeks he's played well. In 2021, I feel like he's been one of your better players. I feel like irrespective of my views on him, I think he definitely deserves a run of games, man. Like, because we're seeing worse players get runs of games in that Arsenal team. So why can't he get a run of games, especially when he cost 72 million? But Jordan, I actually want to come to you on this as well, because one thing we haven't spoken about is Sonny.
Yeah.
I don't think we've spoken about him anyway, but
no.
he pulls up with that injury, muscular injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I didn't really watch the Jose Mourinho interview. What's your take on that injury, and like do you put that down to Jose Mourinho? Do you put that down to COVID, playing a lot of games and it to be expected? Like what's your take on the injury, and do you have any faith that we have anyone who can help fill that void that he's obviously going to leave?
No, to answer that quickly, it's a big impact. Like you said, depends how long it lasts. Jose did come out after the game and say he's a player that tends to recover quickly. But what does that mean? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks? Depends on the nature of the injury, right? But either way, even if it's a 2 or 3 week job, if you see in our next 5 fixtures, that's big. That's a big impact on the season for me. And the issue you got, is it Jose's fault? I think was one of your questions. No. It's a fatigue thing, the amount of games we're playing. Usually there's a game every 2-3 days. And ultimately, you take Son out the side and you put Lamela there, Lucas there, albeit Lucas has been better in the last couple of weeks, but, Bergwijn, anyone out there, there's no end product, there's no delivery, there's no substance to anybody else that goes in that position aside from Sonny. So I don't think you can blame a manager for that. If I'm Jose, I'm picking Sonny every single week, regardless of how tired he is, because I know that no one else is going to deliver for me. Do you know what I mean? And he does all sides of the game. He doesn't just go forward and score goals and assists. He does the dirty work. He tracks back. He does everything Jose wants. But it's a worrying one, because if you look today as well, look, Kane didn't have his best game, but he's still towards the end. You could still see that he was a threat and blah blah blah. But as you said, Bale was pants today. So you take Son out. Okay, let's hypothetically say this isn't just a bad 60-minute cameo from Bale. This is Bale again, back to 5 weeks ago, where there's little to no impact. Yeah. Then we're fucked. Do you know what I mean? You're relying on, again, just Kane digging us out of holes, which we did for a large portion of the last season. Do you know what I mean? In the beginning of this season. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully it was just precautionary. I think, if Son pulls up with a little hamstring sort of feel, then you're going to take him off. You're not going to risk trying to play him for the next 70 minutes. And I'm hoping it was just a little niggle and it's precautionary. But yeah, not looking good, bro. Not looking good.
Fair enough. To be honest, I'm bored to death talking about this fixture, because it was a dreadful day in the office.
Painful day.
Yeah, man, painful day. But we're just almost on the hour mark as well, so I feel like it's time for us to sort of sign out. And Joel, is there any last words you wanted to say before I sort of wrap it up? Because I know you're there sitting in the corner of your camera, smirking, smiling.
My question is, how the heck can North London be white when that trophy cabinet is dusty? How?
I mean, we're still above you in the table, so
no. How can North London be white when that it is dusty? We're only 4 points behind you now, by the way. But look at it overall. All this North London is red. North London. Like, how can it be? Like, I left a note to Spurs fans. I said, thank you, Spurs fans, for visiting the Emirates Stadium, Hopefully you had a chance to check out the trophy cabinet where there's those metal ornaments that signify winning stuff. Hope you come back.
I asked you to. I said, "Is there
Hope you
anything
come
else
back.
you want to say?" And
Yours
this is what you're
sincerely.
doing. This is what you're doing with this time. Okay, cool.
Yours sincerely, the cabinet. I thought that was a masterpiece. I left that on flipping Expressions' page. I left it. It was like a tattoo. I just left it everywhere. It was like graffiti. Yeah. It amazes me how you guys can try to say North London's white. I think it's sad, if I'm to be honest with you. This is my monologue. It's sad because these are your best years.
This is not our best
years. And
This is
even
not our best
in your best years. Okay, no, obviously when you was in the Champions League,
Yeah,
okay, I get
fair
that.
enough.
But this is where the times where Spurs could be a threat. When you were sitting pretty on top of the table, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking, thinking, listen, if the way this season is mad, you never know. You never know. Look how good Villa have done, how good Leicester were doing. I just thought, oh, you never know. West Ham. But it's sad that it's still not happening, bros. It's still not happening. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough. You have every right to mention that. Yo, I will sign out on. We will sign out on your comment. Spurs have finished above Arsenal for several years now, and still have nothing to show for it. You can't argue against some of the stuff that people. In fact, I can argue. I just don't have the strength to today.
Yeah, I can't be asked.
Everything that people are saying about Spurs today, it's right. Spursy bottle jobs, it's right. It's right.
I said you got Spurs, another Spursy performance. They got Spursled. I had quite a few, to be fair.
Okay, the Grand Dam has just joined now. Go away, Dammy, man. Like we're about to end the stream now, so go away. This guy's been pestering me on Twitter all since that full-time whistle blew. Anyway, but it's fine because I'm gonna get him back when Chelsea flounder. But Joe, thank you for coming on, bro. Thank you for blessing us with your wisdom, and thank you for taking the piss out of us. Yeah, thanks for that.
Follow me on IG, Joe Bale 1. That's where I want to. If you guys want a bit of banner, I reply to my messages as long as they're not too stupid. I reply. So follow me on IG, Joe Bale 1. We have a lot of fun over there, man.
Yeah, I put your links in the description anyway, so folks, you don't have to search it. Literally, just click the link in the description. It'll take you there. That's to both your Instagram and Twitter. It's the same for you, Jordan, as well. Jordan, thank you for coming on, dropping the wisdom. I agree with everything you said. And unfortunately for us, we're going to have to be back here in a few days' time to talk about this team. So
can't wait.
but folks, thank you for those who tuned in. We had a lot of people watching live tonight. Really appreciate the views. Make sure you smash a like as well. Make sure you leave any comments as well if you want me to pick them up. I do read comments and I do try to respond to them as well. So folks, take care, peace out, and have a great Sunday.